Hi, this screencast, we're going to talk about some components of matter. We're going to talk about the definition, the, the different types, and the different states of matter. So this is just a basic background on what is matter. Let's start with the definition. The definition is two parts. To be matter, it has to take up space and it has to have mass. So when you take up space, you can think of it as something like this gas. You see balloons, and those balloons have a definite volume, and so they take up space. So anything that takes up space, no matter how big or how small, it is part of matter, and it has to have mass. And while it's easy to see in this rock that it has mass and it takes up a lot of space, these gases here in this image, they take up space. You can trap them and they take up a specific amount of volume, and they actually have a mass, and so they weigh something. So pretty much everything around you is defined as matter. The only things you need to keep in mind that are not matter, so not matter, would be things like energy. So electricity, energy. Electricity is not matter. Now, we all know that matter comes in various states. You can have solid, liquid, or gas. And so a lot of you have experienced this in past sciences classes. So we have solid, where the particles are fixed in their location and they have a definite volume. A liquid has a definite volume, but they're free to flow. And then a gas has no definite volume, and it is also free to flow. So you become less organized as you move from solid to liquid to gas. You don't need to worry about that too much. The definitions of the different types, solid, liquid, and gas, whether they have a definite volume and are able to take up the space of their container, or other words, an ability to flow. Another way to classify matter is either pure or a mixture. A mixture is probably easier to talk about. A mixture is the combination of more than one type of substance, and it can be random. For instance, if you go out and dig a hole in the yard, you might see a grass layer and then dirt, and then there might be rocks. And that's a mixture. And there might be some rocks in the dirt and some grass in the dirt. And you get the point. It is not uniform. It is random. Okay? A pure type of matter has the same component, the same component throughout the entire sample. It is even more so than just saying it's all dirt, because within dirt you have subparticles. A pure type of matter is something that has the same atoms the whole way throughout the sample. Here are two examples of pure types of matter. This gold bar is all gold. It is gold throughout. It has the same composition. Now, some people might say, well, is it 12 karat or 24 karat? If that's the case, it has the same makeup throughout the entire sample. But for the sake of us, we're going to just say this is all just gold. Water, if this is a pure substance, this is just H2O. Now, if you go out to the stream and get a cup of water, you may have other things going on, and then that would not be considered pure water. It would not be distilled water. It's just maybe spring water or just tap water, and those have other chemicals within it. But for the sake of this example, this water sample right here, we're calling it just H2O. Every single molecule in that sample is H2O. Here are some examples of some mixtures. And mixtures are easier to spot because you can separate them with some physical means. For instance, in the trail mix up here, if you don't like the almonds, you can pick them out. And if you only want to eat the candies, then you just eat the candies. The same thing with the jelly beans here. If you only want to eat the orange ones, you just pull out the orange ones. Now, the examples I gave, you are using your fingers to separate them, but there are other ways to separate things, like distilling, where you boil off the water, or filter, where you drain off the water or separate. Maybe if you've ever played in the sand, you get one of those sand toys where the smaller sand grains fall through and then the seashells and the rocks are left in in the toy, and that is filtering. There are some more specific types of pure matter, and one of the types is the atoms. This is the simplest building block of all matter, and it is one type of substance, for instance, an atom of iron or an atom of carbon. An atom is very much they're almost the same as an element. An element is just another name for an atom. You have more than one atom within an element, but they're all the same kind. Now, molecules and compounds are also kind of similar in their definitions. A molecule is, and a compound also, is where you have two or more atoms or elements. So we'll just go with two or more elements combined chemically. I'm going to run out of room. Sorry. So two or more elements chemically combined whenever you have a compound and a molecule. You can use them interchangeably for now, and that's fine. When we get into the different types of compounds, then we would look at the difference between a molecule and a compound. But for now, it's fine just to use them interchangeably. All right, and then in mixtures, we have two different types of mixtures. You have homogeneous and heterogeneous. A homogeneous has the same makeup through the whole sample. Okay. Now a heterogeneous has different makeup or composition. Okay. A heterogeneous is like the pizza. All right. You can pick off the toppings, the mushrooms, the onions, the whatever you don't want. A homogeneous mixture is like ice cream, where it has different things in it, but you can't separate the milk or the vanilla, or as long as if we're talking like vanilla ice cream specifically. All right. If it's vanilla ice cream, you can't separate out the sugar. If we're talking about like chocolate chip cookie dough, then you could pull out the chocolate chip cookie dough pieces, and that would not be a homogeneous mixture. So a mixture could be a couple different things. And you just have to look at what it's made up of to decide which type of mixture it is. All right, so in this screencast, you learned the definition. We talked about the different states of matter. We talked about some different classifications of matter. And then there were several different definitions for like pure substances and mixtures. If you didn't catch everything that was in it, I would suggest going back and playing it again, pausing on each screen, and writing down the definitions that I either say or I wrote on the screen. All of these terms will come up again on any test that we have on this chapter for matter.